Seems like some chickens are nesting here next to the bell tower. Cute. Welcome back to Werner's View. Yeah, I'm finding myself here in the beautiful, beautiful town of Stellenbosch. It is a busy Friday afternoon, but yeah, I'm still able to ride down Dorp Street. So Dorp Street is arguably the most famous street in Stellenbosch and certainly the oldest, and a very good example of the old buildings that are still here, the Cape Dutch style buildings. Let me just cruise down a bit. Of course, everywhere you look down Dorp Street you will see the oak trees, and from early days people that settled here were encouraged to everywhere they can to plant the oak trees, and that is why Stellenbosch is known as the Eikestad or the Oak Town. It is a beautiful afternoon. Some clouds are coming over, but mostly blue sky. There to the right you can see the Jonkershoek mountains. But yeah, Dorp Street, the second oldest street in South Africa, and the street is absolutely lined with historical buildings, galleries, coffee shops, all kinds of interesting places. I'm just taking a leisurely ride down, although it is quite busy. I just want to make a quick stop at probably the most famous shop in Dorp Street. So the shop here in front is Sami se winkel, and Sami se winkel is a trading store that still in the traditional sense of the word trades as it did many years ago. Let's have a look. He's a general dealer. They buy, trade and sell. Yeah, if you want to experience some traditional Stellenbosch retail, Sami se winkel is the place to go. So let's continue down the Dorp Street. Maybe just a bit of quick history. The town of Stellenbosch, as I mentioned, is the second oldest town in South Africa, and it was already established in 1679, and it is named after Simon van der Stel, who was the very first governor in the Cape from 1691 to 1699. So it's called Stellenbosch, or the Forest of Van der Stel, and it is here based on the shores of the Eerste River, or the first river, and it is simply named the Eerste River because when they did their initial expeditions from Cape Town over the Cape Flats, they reached this river as the first major river, and they call it the first river, or in Afrikaans the Eerste River. Yeah, that was 1679, the town was established. So in 1710, most of this early town burnt down, so it was quite a disaster, including the very first church in town. So in 1723, the church was rebuilt on a different site, and that site was at that stage very much on the outskirts. Oh, look at how beautiful these streets are. How idyllic, huh? No, Dorp Street is a historic street. The whole street apparently is a national monument, and so it's also the street with the longest, row of historical buildings that are still intact of any major town in South Africa. So, very significant. So I just want to make a quick stop here at the church. As I said, in 1723, the church was rebuilt on this site. So although this feels like the center of town, at that stage it was very much the outskirts of town, and the reason why the church was built here was because they didn't want it to be destroyed again by fire. So this is the mother church, and this building was built in 1863, so quite some time ago. The original church on this site, built in 1723, was expanded many times, but in 1863 this church was built. Let's depart here from the mother church in Stellenbosch to just ride around this central area of Stellenbosch a bit more. Everywhere you look, you see the beautiful, beautiful buildings. It's indeed the oak town, or the Eikestad. I mean, you see the oaks everywhere. So of course Stellenbosch is very famous for being the oldest university town in South Africa, well, the oldest sub-Saharan university in Africa. So this is very much the first university in South Africa. So the whole town is dedicated to university and students and so on. For example, the visual arts building is here in front of us. And you also see the university residences, agricultural sciences on the right. So here on the left hand side is the Kruiskerk. That was the second church that was built in 1927. So this is a much more modern church. And this building is the old main building of the university. It's called the Ou Hoofgebou. And these days it is the law faculty of Stellenbosch University. I think we are now very close to the central parts of the university, close to Red Square, that is the main central square of the university. It's just a pleasure to ride through these beautiful streets. But where are we going today? So the end destination for today is Simondium. Now Simondium is a town or a hamlet just on the other side of the Helshoogte Road, and before we get there we're gonna ride that pass but also make a stop at the town of Pniel. So yeah, it's not a very long ride. I think it's only about 30, just over 30 kilometers, but I think it will prove to be very beautiful. Yeah, so we're looking up here now at the start of the Old Helshoogte Road. This is the R310. Let me just try and make the turn first. So this should be significant uphill to get over the crest between the Simonsberg and the Jonkershoek mountain. But yeah, welcome back to the channel. I'm very pleased to start this next series of trips. This will be the 6th series of trips on Vandersview, and yeah, I just want to thank all of you that followed my previous series, Crossing the Middelberg. That was a very enjoyable series to do, and thank you so much for all the comments and interaction from so many people. I really appreciate it. And I really hope that you will enjoy the series of trips that I have planned over the next 2.5 days. I must say I'm looking forward to it. It was quite some time. It's almost 2 months, more than 2 months ago that I last did a series of trips. So I was itching to get a bit onto the bike and to ride some new roads. So we are following the Helshoogte Road now, and we will cross in between those mountains. Now, so the Helshoogte Road actually crosses over the saddle here between the Simonsberg and the Jonkershoek mountain. Unfortunately, the Simonsberg is not so clearly visible today, but that is the most prominent peak that is visible almost anywhere you look from Stellenbosch. Here the climbing is starting. The Old Helshoogte Road. Of course, I'm doing this trip again with my trusted Honda CRF 300 Rally. Same motorcycle. I've done all my previous trips, and I'm quite sure that it will take me everywhere I want to go in the trip that or the series of trips I have planned over the next 2.5 days. As I mentioned, this is only a Friday afternoon, so I'm just making a start on the series already late on a Friday afternoon. It's now 3:45, and I will stay overnight in a cozy little place. I think I've never stayed there, but we will see. This is Kimi's place, and that is in the town of Simondium. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Simonsberg is covered in cloud, but hey, one cannot reveal everything with every trip. That is why it remains important to ride beautiful roads again and again. Yeah, so this Helshoogte Pass is today, it is almost like a highway. It is double lanes, it's quite wide and sweeping turns. But this is one of the oldest passes in South Africa. The original pass was already built in 1854, and it wasn't quite on this line. This is a new line. The old pass, built in 1854, was tarred in 1936. It's a little bit to the north of this road of today. And then in 1966, improvements were made to this pass in terms of a new line that was built for this road. And this is the line we are riding today. Of course, at that stage it was still a narrow road. And in as short ago as 2010, a major construction did take place on this road, and it became this multi-lane highway, which still is very popular with cyclists and so on. We are still going up, probably soon reach the peak of Helshoogte. There you can see the old pass. You can see it is actually tarred. As I said, in 1936 it was tarred, but it's not accessible by vehicles and motorcycles today. Although this is the new Old Helshoogte road, still spectacularly beautiful. This connects Stellenbosch with the Drakenstein valley, and just after I pass the crest of this pass now, I'm going to make a stop at a very interesting little town called Pniel. Now, I've driven and ridden past this a few times already in my life, but I've never made the effort to actually stop at Pniel. And I just want to go and have a look. It's got a very interesting history. I will tell you more once we get there. I think we are now probably very close to the summit of the Helshoogte Pass, or the Old Helshoogte Road. Yeah, valley is opening up here. Now this is wine country, so everywhere you look you will see wine farms, and Stellenbosch is probably the wine capital of South Africa. Beautiful. A few hamlets here. We are now going into Johannesdal. It's probably less known than Pniel. But yeah, this is just about 1.5 kilometers before we actually get to the town of Pniel. Okay, we've made it to Pniel. I want to make a stop at the Pniel Museum. There's apparently quite a beautiful museum here. Oh, here it is, Pniel Heritage Museum. The turn-off is here. Yeah, I think we made it. We make a turn here. I made a stop here at the Pniel heritage museum in the town of Pniel. And when I planned this trip, I just thought Pniel is such an intriguing place to make a stop because it's got a very interesting history. This town was actually established in 1843 as a place for landless and homeless slaves after they were emancipated or freed, because slavery ended in the Cape in 1842. The museum apparently is a rich history of the community that was then established, and I don't think the museum is open, but I'm just going to have a bit of a walk around here to see what it looks like. Let's go and have a look. Even in Pniel there's a lot of oak trees. Of course, that is almost the symbol of the town of Stellenbosch. It seems like this is a school here to this side, but the entrance or the museum building is this house, as you can see here. It looks very much closed, although it is probably around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just say what it says here on the plaque. In commemorating our heritage, the Pniel Museum was officially opened by two of our eldest congregants, 18 May 2013. Okay. They say here this is more than a museum, more than just a museum. It's a tribute to the ancestors. So there's a tea garden here. Yeah. Just look at the entrance way to the view. Even with some cloud cover, it is clear that this is beautiful. Sure. And let's just head back, because there's also what they call the Werf. I'm not sure if this is the area just on the other side of this wall, but it seems like there's also a few things at display there. I think this is the Werf. I think there are quite a number of things commemorating slavery history. So this is the Freedom Monument. It's a slave memorial that was unveiled on 11 September 1993. Like I said, this is the Pniel Congregational Church bell tower. Quite a prominent feature here in this De Werf area. Seems like some chickens are nesting here next to the bell tower. Cute. So they say here, in the absence of a belfry, the first church bell, also known as the slave bell, hung from one of the tree branches, and from here the beautiful sound could be heard throughout the valley, calling people to worship. Oh, that is interesting. You can see the town of Pniel extending there down the street. Now, it's certainly a very interesting history here, all dedicated to the emancipation of slaves. And yeah, the town of Pniel is the place to come if you want to learn more about this history. Fortunately, the museum is closed, but apparently there are very good artifacts and apparently beautiful black and white photographs that, well, chronicles the history of this town and the emancipation of the slaves in the Cape. But yeah, I'm going to continue now with the ride to, well, through the town of Pniel a bit. Let's just have a bit of another look before we continue. Yeah, I just want to ride a little bit through the town of Pniel, just to have a bit of a look at the houses. So the town of Pniel, of course, the name Pniel has got a very much a biblical history, and it refers to Jacob wrestling with God, and the meaning of the word Pniel apparently is face of God. So yeah, very much a religious history and yeah, atmosphere in this town. An interesting little fact about the history of this town is that some of the cottages in this town was apparently designed by the famous architect Sir Herbert Baker. Now, I find this extraordinary because he's of course very well known for designing many famous buildings. For example, the Union buildings in Pretoria. I think one of the last buildings that he designed was the First National Bank building in Adderley Street in Cape Town, and also many other buildings around the world, for example in India and so on. So I would actually love to see some of the cottages designed by him, although the part where I'm riding through now is just more modern buildings. So I'm not quite sure where the older parts of Pniel is. Yeah, but this is a beautiful building. So this is the Pniel Congregational Church. And there's also a bell tower here, commemorated to J.F. Stegman, who commissioned this congregation in the year of 1843. So that is in the year after the emancipation of the slaves. I'm not sure how old this building is, but it might date from that period. It is certainly looks quite old. So less than 2 kilometers from here is probably one of the most famous wine estates in the country, and that is Boschendal. I just want to make a turn off to Boschendal to have a look. What do you need from me?
The disc, where can I find the disc?
This, where is he? At the back somewhere?
Oh yeah, yes.
I don't know if it's quite visible.
Yeah, it's visible, sir. You know where to go. It's okay, sir. You know where to go.
So it's still open, eh?
Yeah, still
Until
open.
what time is the restaurants and so on open?
I think they're gonna close later around 9 o'clock.
Oh, late.
Yeah,
So
I
people
don't
come in the evening as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them they come and eat here before they go sleep.
Okay, but I must park on that side, ne?
Yes, you must park
Okay,
on the other
okay.
side, on your left side. Just on your left side, there's a park there at the back. Then
Thank you very much. Thank
You're
you, ne?
welcome, sir.
I'm just going to make a quick stop. I just want to...
That's okay, sir.
Have a look.
There's also farm shop there. It's also open also.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, press the wrong button. Here I go, thanks. Yeah, I made a stop here at Boschendal. I think this is one of the most beautiful wine estates in South Africa. I just want to go and have a look at the Cape Manor house, which I think is just around the corner. So let's go and have a look. Yeah, indeed, this is the Cape Manor house. So as I mentioned, Boschendal is one of the oldest wine estates in South Africa, and apparently the first title deeds of Boschendal dates back to 1685. I find that extraordinary. That's quite long ago. And this Cape Dutch manor house was built in 1812. I think today it is a gallery. But yeah, I suppose just a perfect example of the Cape Dutch style buildings of that era. And here from the Cape Manor house one can look back at the lane as we entered. The theme of the Cape Dutch buildings continue here. And today these are restaurants, and I think there's a herb garden towards the left hand side. Here on the wall of the Delhi restaurant it also says founded in 1685. I don't think there's many places that can say that. That was now a lovely stop here at Boschendal. But let's continue. So we are now going to head to my place for the night. And this is very close, about 7.5 kilometers from here, in the hamlet of Simondium. Now Simondium, I don't think it's really a town, it's more a cluster of houses I think, but we will see. But there I'm heading to a place called Kimi's Self-Catering Cottage, which I simply booked through lekkerslaap.co.za, so I will put the link to it also in the video. But let's just first depart here from lovely Boschendal. Boschendal, certainly worth a visit. Heading in the direction of Simondium. So of course we've now crossed over the Old Helshoogte Road and we are now heading into the Drakenstein Valley. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful valleys in South Africa. So Simondium is named after a French Huguenot that settled in this area, Pierre Simond. But I don't know exactly when he came. But one other thing that Simondium is quite well known for is the annual cheese festival that takes place here every year in the month of April. So if you're looking for good cheese, Simondium is your place. There it is, Simondium's country lodge. So we must be in Simondium now, but as I said, I think it might be more a collection of a few houses here and there, but not necessarily a town. So here on the railway, the old Franschhoek tram line is running. So apparently this is now quite a convenient way to visit the wine farms in this area. So it's called the Franschhoek wine train. How pleasant is that? So you can do some wine tasting and you don't have to worry about driving your own car. Just waiting a bit at the stop go here in Simondium. Kimi's Cottage down here, you can see it. Seems like it's the second one on the right. Here it is. So I arrived here at Kimi's Self-Catering Cottage. Now originally I booked it's a little room in the roof of the house, but she decided to place me actually in the larger cottage. So I actually have more than just a room for the night. I have got a whole house. So let me just show you a bit what Kimi's Cottage looks like. Under roof parking for the motorcycle, and if we walk in here you immediately get to a nice large stoep area with a braai area, braai facility, and then you enter the house here in the kitchen. So this is for more than one person, but I have almost too much room in this house. But beautiful little cottage. And then if you walk through the lounge area, you get to the, well, first the bathroom on this side. Look at this nice touch. And then the bedroom is on this side. Thank you for joining me on this very first trip of the new series. It was quite an enjoyable ride there from Stellenbosch, and then from Stellenbosch riding the Helshoogte Road, the Old Helshoogte Road, to get to the town of Pniel. I think very interesting history there in Pniel. So it was quite interesting to just explore there a bit. And yeah, making a quick stop at Boschendal and now at Kimi's cottage here in the hamlet of Simondium. So that is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I will continue early tomorrow morning from here for another, well, quite a few trips for Saturday. So please join me for those videos as well. Until next time, bye bye.